training. Tactics, there we go. So he's stronger on his right foot, so we've got two players that could play ML or an MR, but they're both better on the right foot, and we haven't got any left wingers, out and out left wingers. So that's a shit formation, can't have that. So what else? 4-5-1 flat, that's a favourite formation of mine. We're very, very strong defensively and very, very good going forward as well. But again, haven't got an out and out winger on the left hand side, and I'm not really confident in these two to cut in from the ML position. They're not too hot defensively either, which I want a little bit from an ML and MR player, because that whole part of that play and that whole point of playing that flat 5 is so that all your players in that bank of 5 are able to defend and go forward as well as your team needs to do. He's not good defensively, so I couldn't play him like that. He's an attacking player. He's not a sort of hybrid at all. He's not a wide midfielder. He'd be a winger, and obviously when you play him in a winger role on the left hand side in ML, he's instructed to stay wider, run wide with the ball, and he's right footed, so he'll be crossing it really shit because he's using his weak foot, and he won't be coming into central areas because he's been told to stay out wide. It does say cut inside from both wings, and I don't know, it probably would override that, but again, he's not a player I want out on the left hand side. So any sort of formation with ML and MR, although defensively stronger, isn't viable. Any sort of formation with wing backs, three at the back and 5 in midfield, like a 3-5-2, it's not viable, because I mean that's a waste of waste of your good fullbacks that we got, like Shaw and Jones, and again ML, MR, these don't really work at United. So there's not really a lot of options. I can't think of anything else. If you can give me some ideas, but I think 4-2-3-1 is the way to go, and then in the long term look to change it up to something more defensively balanced, stable, strong. Because when you're making your formation, the problem that you're faced with is when you make a formation with players high up the pitch, that's your defensive positioning, not your offensive positioning. So if you're having defensive positioning of your players already high up the pitch, that means you're leaving a lot to be desired at the back. So you want a formation really in the long run that's more defensively capable, and that's why eventually I'll look at shifting over to something like 4-4-2, 4-5-1 flat, 4-4-1-1, and 4-1-4-1. And if you think about it, the 4-1-4-1 is basically 4-2-3-1, but more, and so is the 4-5-1 flat really. It's 4-2-3-1, but it's much more defensively strong. You can also do a deep 4-2-3-1 where you have 2 DMCs, one MC centre, and then ML-MR. But I think in my experience of that, you have a little bit of trouble going forward with that player that's the other DMC. You have one that's defensive, one that's sort of more mobile, but he struggles to make an impact in the final third. So it's good defensively, maybe good for a counter attack, but maybe we'll look at that, maybe we won't. I personally struggled with it, and of course when I was using it with United, ML and MR can't get any inside forwards in, so Martial didn't play basically. so I can't have that. So really, 4-4-2 is the better one, isn't it? Because you get Martial to play, and you get Depay to play on the right hand side in MR. But I don't know. We'll have to look at it again. Maybe we'll go to 4-3-3 wide in the long run, because then we'll get the inside forward in, and then eventually Matt will have to go, because he's 28 years old. When he gets to about 30, look at selling him and making a bit of money off him, bring someone else in, and then we can have 3 centre mids that are strong defensively, and we can have our inside forwards and our winger and our sort of holding target striker up front, that someone like Ibrahimovic, such as Lukaku. Let's have a look at Lukaku. Yeah, he's got some room to develop. He's not super tall or anything, but he's probably the long-term replacement for Ibrahimovic, or maybe someone like this guy who they've just bought. But he's old, but he's very good. I do like him. I've always wanted to sign him, but I never have. He's slow, but he's just really good in the air, and mind you, he's not that much better than Fellaini, is he? So maybe that's misguided. Looking at the team, the players that are left, for some reason I've still got Jesse Lingard in there. I don't know what to do with him. I should have mentioned him earlier, really, because he's not that good. And look at him compared to, he's basically Ashley Young, but younger than Young. And I don't know whether he'll do any good. I think I'll see how he gets on and maybe sell him later on in the pre-season or before the window closes, because he's professional. That's good, yeah. But 13 dribbling, 13 crossing, and I think it says on his profile as well. What's it say? Currently playing at close to his full potential. Rui Faria, who's got good judging, I think. Where is he? Overview coaching. Rui Faria, 15 potential judging player potential. That's pretty decent. I think I'll be keeping him about anyway. He's very, very good coach, and that's a 5-star fitness coach for sure. 20, 17 and 20. That's a 5-star fitness coach. Definitely, probably one of the best, if not the best, fitness coaches in the game. So maybe he should go. Yeah. Really, I want to replace him with a faster player, someone like this guy, who's just rapid, good dribbling, got the flair, got the off the ball, got the passing, got super work rate. He's the player I want, really, and there's a fair couple of years in him as well. And I used him in the last game in 2016. Used him, and he was quality. He was getting 8 ratings like consistently. I think he finished with like a 7.98 average rating for 2-3 seasons. So he's worth looking at. I don't know who else I could bring in. Any suggestions for a nice rapid right winger as good as him? I'd really appreciate that. This guy, I'm really sad that they brought him in, Mkhitaryan, because look at that crossing, not very good. His technical ability is a bit too weak for me, and a little bit low on the flair front. He's alright as a wide midfielder, though, I noticed, because you look at, he's got anticipation, work rate, teamwork. They don't really rely on getting past people so much. The wide midfielders, they sort of knock it about, pass it about, and then move using their work rate and off the ball and all that. And then they cross it first time. So he's better for that, but I'll see how he gets on. I'm not too confident in him. Also, other people I should have mentioned. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. Maybe I haven't done this properly. Wayne Rooney, got to go. Don't like him. Too slow. Shit first touch. Shit dribbling. Not good enough to be a striker, and only average as a creating AMC, so advanced playmaker. So I'm not too happy with him. The problem for me is I just don't think I can get rid of him because I don't think anyone will want him, because he's on so much money and he's so shit for how much money he is on, that it's going to be troublesome. I'll have to see if I can get rid of him, but he's not going to be in the first team, and on that sort of wages he does need to go, so he's going to go. Other person I'm looking at getting rid of in the long run, I think, is Darmian. Now that might surprise you a little bit, but if you look at him, he's not too hot defensively. Marking 14, yeah, that's okay. Okay, it's not good. It's okay. 13 positioning, that's a bit shit. That's starting to get less than okay. 17 tackling, that's very, very good. But you know, if you wanted to get a good fullback that was good at attacking or whatever, and you're not so bothered about his marking and position and all that, you'd make sure that he's just rapid so that it makes up for it. But look at his pace, 14, acceleration 13. He's not quick enough to make up for his sort of deficiencies in his defensive game. He's all right, okay at, you know, mentally as well. You know, he's better than Phil Jones mentally, but I personally prefer Phil Jones a lot more, who's got better at marking. He's got the same, I think he's got the same, where is he? Phil Jones and Darmian. Better marking, better positioning, and the same tackling. Also works harder, you know, all that, a little bit better in the air, a bit more aggressive. I think he's better, and he's underrated as well, because I think they give him a 2-star on this and Darmian a 3-star, when the reverse is true. So what I'm going to do is have Darmian as backup to Phil Jones. Darmian will go eventually, and we'll bring in someone like Eric Dyer, or Dier, or however you say it. Look at him. Very nice and quick. Much better. Look at that. 15, 15, 17. And better mentally. How can you not want that guy in your right back position? Alright, so can't dribble very well. Did okay crossing, but I'm not bothered about that. I'm not bothered on this flank. Not bothered about a player that gets forward. I want a player that's more sort of defensive when you've got a winger up there doing that job already. In AMR or MR, he's the one getting down the wing, crossing in, when your fullback here is just, you know, just sort of sitting back and supporting, not getting too far forward. This guy is my favourite basically for that, and I will be bringing him in. Don't know about just yet though. Maybe I should. I could sell Darmian, but it really depends. And he's one that could be bought very easily because of his low wage. Yeah, I think he's going to go eventually. He's not. I'm going back to him again. I don't know about key player, and I don't know why they spent £36 million on the guy. Alright, so he scored quite a lot of goals for Shakhtar and all that. Not even as a striker. But it doesn't, in the game, look like he's going to score any goals. So we'll see how he gets on, but I don't rate him. Defensively, this is another thing. Like maybe we're moving on. We've moved on from tactics now, and we're on the subject of transfers. You look at the back line right now. Yeah, so let's say Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, or let's put him in DCL for a reason I'll say in a little while. Of course, we'll have De Gea in goal, and Luke Shaw first choice left back. So Chris Smalling, obviously nice and solid, very good in the air. I went to school with him at Chatham Grammar School for boys. Very good, and I'll definitely be keeping him about. There's definitely people that are better out there. Defensively, I want really in the Premier League for a top team. I'm looking at centre backs with positioning, tackling, marking 17 and above. He's got good mentals though, good, decent determination, decisions, concentration, anticipation, bravery. He's got good work rate, teamwork. He's a bit shit on the ball, passing 8, first touch 11, and fuck all vision and off the ball. He's not a player that you want on the ball very often. You just want him to get rid of it. Keep it very simple. But yeah, he's one that I'll be keeping about. But you look at him, so he's decent. But then you look at this guy, Bailly or Bailey, or he's decent. He's quick as well, just like Smalling. That's what you want in a Manchester United backline: quick defenders, not guys that are going to be left behind when someone like Hazard goes past him. Someone that can catch up. You want someone like that. So he's quick, but 13 strength, only 14 jumping. He's probably got quite a lot of room to develop. I don't know what it says about him, but I'm a little bit concerned about him, and he's got a bit of a dodgy personality there. We need to get him on a tutoring, and he's already got a senior role, so he can't be tutored. So a little bit disappointed. Last season I did watch it. I did have a career with Real Madrid, and I watched him play for Villarreal, and he was very good on the game in terms of his ratings, his performance, and he has possibly got some room to move to develop. But I'm a little bit concerned, let's just put it that way, with the back line. And you look at the players that you've got to cover. We've got Rojo, can play left back and centre back. Not great at jumping. Pretty good, marking, positioning, tackling. Tiny bit average, weak at mentally. Although he's got a nice aggression, bravery, work rate, teamwork. But in that left back role, you want someone that gets forward a bit more, that can has got a bit of pace and that, and got a little bit more something like Luke Shaw's got about him. Even though he's weaker defensively, he's a lot quicker. And he could do a job covering centre back, and alright, so he's only slightly worse in the air than Bailly. But basically, them two players, Bailly and Rojo, they're a bit of a liability at the moment, and obviously Rojo's not getting any better. So long term, we'll probably play him in the first season. We'll play Rojo and then look to get rid. He's not very good for me. In my opinion, we can do better than him, and your transfer policy should reflect that in the long run. I'm not saying just do a massive clear out straight away. Do things gradually. It's a lot better for your team cohesion, and you're less likely to have them kicking off about it. Don't try and ship everybody out unless they're really shit, like Valencia, Young and Fellaini, Carrick. These, you don't need these people at all, and it's not going to be a big deal if they leave. But getting rid of your centre backs when you ain't got any other decent cover is a bit mad. So you want to bring in somebody first, and just a matter of who. I like what's his name, the Fridge. This guy, 16, 16, 16. I like him a lot better than what's his name, Rojo. I'd rather have him, or yeah, this guy. A little bit weak in the air, but very young. He's also left-footed, so he fits in that DCL slot better. I think he's a long-term replacement, possibly. We have to look at some other candidates, though, see what they're charging for him as well. But in the last season, I brought him in, and he was quality. So was the Fridge, Stefan de Vrij. What else? So in terms of transfers, you want to bring in a right winger and potentially a whole back line. I'm not saying necessarily immediately, but over the next 2-3 seasons you should have that problem sorted. And you also want to bring in a holding midfielder that can do a better job defensively, that doesn't get us forward whenever possible. I think possibly look at Lars Bender, because this guy's quality. Look at his defensive ability there. That's pretty damn good for a midfielder, isn't it? And he's professional, and he's very consistent as well. And you can get him for 20 odd million. That's not always representative of how much they'll cost on that, but he actually does cost about 20-30 million when you try and buy him. We did last season anyway. He's not got a lot about him attacking wise, but I mean, let's have a look. CMD, he's got all the attributes, hasn't he, for CMD. Not great at passing, not great creating, can't really finish very well, not good at long shots, but you don't want him to do that. He's not going to be in that spot. It doesn't matter about that. You just want a player that's consistent and stops them attacks against your dead, and this is your man. I will be bringing him in. Question is, should I do that now? Should I do that next season? Should I wait till he's, possibly more expensive? Somebody else has bought him. I don't know if I want to risk that. Lots of things to consider. In terms of transfers, I think that's about it. And you can possibly look at getting a left winger in if you want to sort of think about changing the formation to something more defensively strong. So bring in what's his name? This guy has he been transferred to? Well, that's a shame, isn't it? They bought him. Well, that's a shame, because last season he was still with Benfica, and he's obviously, look at that technical ability there, is decent speed, but much better than, he's got the same speed as Ashley Young, but he's much better technically, and that can make up for a lot of the deficiency in pace. Good vision as well. I found him to be exceptional, this player. But unfortunately he's been transferred to Atletico, so there's not much chance of grabbing him anytime soon, and he's 28 years old, so maybe you won't be able to get him at all. I don't know who else we could bring in. Any suggestions, pop them in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that. In terms of the rest of the club, there's a couple of issues to iron out in terms of with the board and your staff. First of all, one thing you'll notice when you come in is that United have got a load of scouts. I don't know whether you need all these scouts, and some of them are not very good, and I think it might be worth having a look at them and deciding, well, sort of are these do we need all these people? Do we need, I mean, him, look at him, he's not very good, is he? 12 and 12. You could probably look at getting rid of him, saving a grand a week. It's not much to United. And looking at him, really, he's actually better as a goalkeeping coach. Or him. I mean, that shouldn't be. He shouldn't be in your team for scouting. Look at 5 potential judging. Nah, shouldn't keep him about. So yeah, what I'm trying to get across to you is you want to look at your staff and have a look, because some of these guys ain't all there. Ain't all that. Like that guy, you don't need that guy. He's just a bit of a liability. Or let's look at the medical team. Neil Ho, head physio. You think in your head physio there'd be good man management and great physiotherapy. I don't know how determination, level, discipline, and motivating come into it, or whether it does at all. I'd like to think it does, but we don't know. It's not that good for a head physio. I'd look at get rid of him. He's got to go. He's shit. He's alright, but I could probably get better. Sports scientist. He's alright, but could probably get better. And incidentally, what I did was, while I was not on the video, is I looked at us. I know somebody that is probably the best medical person on the game. It's this guy at Blackburn, David Fever, or Fevre. I don't know how you say it, but look at his attributes. He's just phenomenal. 20 physiotherapy, 18 man management. That's the guy you want as your head physio. So bring him in. In terms of coaches, I don't think we've got very good coaches either. We've got Strudwick, not a 5-star coach, and I can tell that. This is something you should know if you play Football Manager. The way that you can tell whether someone's a 5-star coach or not, just by looking at them, is by looking at their motivating, level of discipline and determination. Ignore the coaching attributes. Look at the mental ones. Those 3 that I said about just then. Those are crucial in determining who is a 5-star coach and who isn't. If they don't add up to 45 or more, that staff member can't be a 5-star coach in whatever category he coaches in. So think for a second. Imagine those 3 were 1, the values of those were 1 each, and you still had 20 fitness. If you put that guy in to his fitness coaching slot, he's not going to have 5 stars. He's probably going to have 2.5 at best, even though he's got 20 fitness. It's all about how he delivers that fitness coaching mentally, and not his actual technical ability and knowledge in that particular area. So whenever you look at bringing in staff, obviously you're not going to be able to get 5-star everything. 4.5, 4 is more realistic. 4.5's probably what you want to look at for a Man United type team, and sort of a lower Premier League team, maybe 4 star.